Cuetlaxo chitl. Cuetlaxo chitl is a plant that originated in Mexico and Central America. It is considered a shrub or small tree. The Aztecs used the plant as a natural dye and for its medicinal qualities. Josefina Aguilar is a famous folk artist from Mexico. She comes from a family of talented artists. She is known for making small clayed figures called figurines. Here is one of her figurines depicting a woman and several Cuetlaxo chitl flowers. In 1835, an American businessman named Joel Poinsetta went to Mexico. He thought the plant was beautiful and imported it to the United States. Through crossbreeding, the Cuetlaxo chitl went from being a shrub to the holiday plant that is called a poinsettia in the United States. It has been bred into over 100 varieties and loved around the world. People love to draw and paint Cuetlaxo chitl flowers. How are these flowers the same? How are they different? What kind of Cuetlaxo chitl flowers are you going to create? For this art piece, you need some oil pastels, you need a pencil, and a sheet of black construction paper. Now in the beginning, you've got to decide where you want to place your flower. Do you want it to be right in the middle? Do you want it to be off-centered? You could do more than one flower if you want to. It's completely up to you. I'm going to move mine a little ways off from the center, and I'm first just going to start with those I'm going to start with those berry shapes that are in the middle of the flower. And now from here, I'm going to go ahead and start to draw some petals. So I want to go a ways away from my flower and then just pull in a petal shape. And then I'm going to go ahead and do that again. And sometimes it's actually easier to rotate your paper. So then you can go out to where you want your petal to be, and you can just pull in another petal. You rotate again. That's one of my favorite ways to make flowers, is just to rotate my paper. And you want to put 4 or 5 petals on. So there's the beginning of our flower. Now we also have these petals that are going to move on the inside of these. So I'm going to come in between each of these and draw another one. And once again, I can just rotate my paper. So I have a nice big flower now. It's taking up a big chunk of my paper. If you made a really tiny one, you might want to add more flowers to fill it out. Now it's time to choose some colors. What I really love about this flower is that there are just so many colors to choose from. So you can play with reds, whites, yellows. I've even seen some blue and purple ones. So what I want you to do is choose 2 colors, and one that's lighter and one that's a little bit darker. And I think I'm actually going to just play with red and white this time. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go in and I'm going to outline my petal, and I'm going to put a line down the center. And I'm going to do that with just my first flowers, not my outside ones. That way it'll make it a little bit easier to see. And now I'm going to go ahead and put an angled line on each side of them, almost like I'm making the letter V in them. And then once again, it might be easier to turn your page as you go to do that. And you want these lines to be kind of close. See how I left a lot of space there? It might be nice to go in and actually make them a little bit closer. And then I'm going to do that same thing with the white. I'm going to come in and just pull in an angled line. And it's okay if I go a little bit over my other color. And now at this point I can also put in the little berries that are in the middle. And I'm going to use some white for mine and some yellow. And you can use any color you want for yours. And once I finish my inside petals, then I'm going to move to my outside petals, doing exactly what I did before. Now I'm ready to go ahead and add on some leaves. So once again, you're going to choose a light color and a dark color for your leaves. You can choose what colors you want those to be. I'm going to use a light green and a dark green today. And the first thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and draw some leaves, and I can choose wherever I want them to go. You could draw them with pencil if you wanted to first. I'm kind of just going for it. And you can put them everywhere, or just in a few spots. It's totally up to you. And you're going to do the same process that you did the last time. So you'll make that center line and pull your lines. And once you do your one color, then you're going to take your other color and add in some highlights. You could trace around your leaves again if you want to as well. It's however you like to make it. And I could keep adding more leaves if I want to as well. Now the next step is going to be to put in a background. Now you can put in any color you want for your background. You can play with just one color, or you can play with a couple. What is nice is to have a little bit of a contrast. So like maybe using green, white, or red isn't the best for me, to maybe use a different kind of color in my background so I have a kind of a pop happen. So I think I'm actually going to play with a couple of different blues, and however you put them on is up to you. You're just going to go ahead and put in any kind of a background you want. Now one thing I really like to do at the very end is I like to take whatever background colors I used, and I like to pull a little bit of those colors into my flower. So I used a lot of blues out here, so I'm actually going to come in and do just a tiny little bit of outlining, not everywhere, but just in a few places. I'm going to add in some of those blues, and it'll kind of make the flower pop a little bit. So that's one of the things I really like to do. And then another thing I like to do, is maybe take some of the colors that are in here into my background. So I might come over here on the very, very edge and just play with the tiniest bit of a red. I might play with a little bit of a green. And what that's doing is it's creating a little bit of unity. Kind of tying things together a little bit. So if you want to take some of your flowers or leaf colors out into your background, or any of your background colors out into your flowers, you can totally play with that. That's just like one more little touch you can do. And there you have your finished flower. Thanks for joining me today. Bye-bye.